Hello, DIYers. Welcome back to 285 DIY, Elevate Your Home Improvement Game. I'm Dosha with Handyman Connection, and we're going to tackle some home projects, tips, and tricks to make your DIY life easier. We're going to dive in today to some good and bad, the downright ugly DIY disasters. We've all had those uh-oh moments, but don't worry, I'm here to help fix them. So I'm going to talk about 4 problems and how to fix them. So let's jump in. Number 1, painting problems. Let's start with that classic. Have you ever had a painting fail? Have you ever slapped a fresh coat of paint on a wall only to have it peel off later? That's usually because the surface wasn't prepared properly. Dirty walls, grease, or even leftover gloss from an old coat can keep your new paint from sticking. How do I fix that? Always clean your surfaces first with a degreaser or mild soap. Lightly sand glossy walls so the new paint can adhere, and use primer when painting over dark colors or tricky surfaces. Oh, and don't forget, let's talk about painter's tape. If you've ever pulled it off and it's taken chunks of paint with it, you probably waited too long or used poor quality tape. Remove it while the paint is still slightly wet for a cleaner line. Number 2, caulking catastrophes. Next up, bad caulking jobs. You know what I'm talking about. Those thick, lumpy, uneven lines that make your bathroom look like a crime scene. If you've ever made a mess of caulk, you're not alone. So how do you fix this? Cut the tip small. Start small because you can always cut more, but you cannot uncut what you've cut. Make sure you apply steady pressure and keep moving to avoid globs. Smooth it out with a damp finger or tool before it dries. This is the key to getting good lines. And then the trick, use painter's tape along the edges for a crisp line, then remove it right after smoothing. Trust me, this one will make a huge difference and no more sloppy caulking jobs. Number 3, drilling disasters. Have you ever drilled into a wall and hit something you weren't supposed to? Maybe a pipe, a wire, or a giant hole where a tiny hole should be? Well, I've got the fix for it. A stud finder will help you avoid pipes, wires, and studs. If you accidentally make a hole too big, you can use a drywall anchor or a patch kit. For minor mistakes, a little spackle and a paint will cover up your tracks. And if you hit a water line, turn off the water ASAP and call a plumber before it turns into a full-blown flood. Finally, number 4, some flooring fails. Ever laid flooring and ended up with gaps, uneven planks, or boards that won't lock together? The fix for that, number 1, is to acclimate that flooring to your home for at least 48 hours before installing. It really does make a difference. Check for a level subfloor. Uneven surfaces will cause problems later on, even just a little bit unlevel. Use spacers along the walls to prevent buckling. One of the biggest mistakes, rushing through it. Remember, measure twice, cut once, and you'll save yourself a major headache. All right, DIYers, that's a wrap on today's episode. Remember, mistakes happen. What matters is knowing how to fix them. Do you have a DIY disaster story? I'd love to hear about it. Drop me a message or a phone call at 303-968-1112. If you found today's episode helpful, we would love to hear about it to help more DIYers. So this is Dosha with Handyman Connection signing off. I hope you have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.